continents are moving. Continents are just moving 1,200 miles, 1,000 miles. You know, there's brand new countries that I've never heard of. That's so weird. Mongolia is a country here. Where I'm from, Mongolia was an ancient empire that died out a long time ago. That's what they built the Great Wall of China for, was to keep the Mongolians out. Here, it's still a country. I don't know. This is a weird thing, man. But I just wanted to get this testimony down on video and get it out there. So perhaps, like I said, maybe it can help somebody else. Maybe it can help me keep my own sanity. Maybe I can help somebody else to feel better about this. Because it threw me for a loop, man. I thought I was losing my mind. I really thought that I was losing my mind. For about a week, maybe two, I really thought that I was going completely insane. But I know that I'm not insane. My buddy I worked with told me about the Berenstain Bears thing. And I thought that was really weird. I remember the Berenstain Bears. I had the books when I was a kid. My mom bought them for me. They were my favorite books. I have very vivid memories of them. And I thought that that was weird. But, you know, I chalked it up to something similar to an optical illusion. You know, maybe it's a trick of the brain. So, then just about maybe like a month ago, 3 weeks ago, I was listening to my favorite podcast, The Higher Side Chats. And this guy, SMQAI, was on there, and he was talking about the Mandela Effect. Well, since it was something that I was already familiar with, you know, I listened to it. I didn't really put a whole lot of stock in it because I had already blown it off as just a trick of the mind. But I was listening to it, you know, and he said a couple things that kind of resonated with me, like about the map, how the map looks different, and about World War II events. And so I started looking into the World War II events. I've been researching history for years. I'm a fan of history. I love learning about history. So I looked it up, and that was crazy that I had never heard about 5,000 people dying on the coast of North Carolina. That seems like something I would have heard about. I even lived in North Carolina at one point. I've never heard of this. So I listened to the show. When the show was over, the first thing I did was start fact-checking some of this stuff just to see, you know, what's really going on with it. I pulled up Google Earth, and when I looked at the map of North and South America on Google Earth, my heart sank. I was like, what is happening? This has got to be like a trick or a troll, or like somebody's really messing with me, or like, what is going on? This is so bizarre. And then I started really digging into the atlas, basically the map, looking at Australia is in a totally different place. You know, it's way far north. New Zealand is in a different place. And since then, I've actually seen it move 3 different times. So I don't know if we're just continually shifting or what's happening, but this like blew me away like so much. Like this is some science fiction Twilight Zone stuff. You know, it's one thing to see continents move, you know, and I'm not misremembering the location of South America. You know, Cuba is huge now. The Arctic Circle is gone. Nobody even knows what the Arctic Circle means here, man. So I started digging into it, and it really blew my mind. It gave me a ton of anxiety. I had a panic attack, actually, just looking at Google Earth. And I was like, man, you got to get a hold of yourself. You're going to lose it, bro, if you don't take a step back from this and just think about what's really going on, man. Maybe you're just misremembering. So I took a step back. I let my anxiety calm down. And then I started just researching it, watching some YouTube videos, watching some other people on YouTube, you know, chit-chatting with SMQ here and there and kind of talking about what's really going on. There's new cars. There's Corvette station wagons, Mustang GT station wagons, Ferrari station wagons. That's bizarre. There's no Ferrari station wagons. You know, my father was a race car driver. I grew up around cars, especially around old cars. There's no such thing as a Corvette station wagon where I'm from. There is no such thing as a Mustang station wagon. Why would you make a station wagon out of a Corvette or a Mustang? That defeats the whole purpose. Yeah, man, it just really freaked me out. So I just keep digging into it, and the more things that I find, the more bizarre that it is here. There's really pink elephants here. Where I'm from, that's a joke. You get so intoxicated you see pink elephants. That's not a real thing. It's a complete joke. It just keeps getting so bizarre here. Like, the new countries threw me for a loop. The new geography threw me for a loop. The new history, new timelines. The mud flood didn't happen in my original timeline. I'm 40 years old. It's not like I'm 21 finding out about this stuff and being like, oh, wow, I've never heard of that. It must not exist. I've been studying this for over 20 years, you know, and now everything that I knew and grew up with is different. It's gone. The map that I grew up on is gone. Or at least I'm not there anymore. You know, and I don't know how to rectify that. Is it CERN? Is it D-Wave? Is it naturally occurring, you know, temporal displacement? Is it occult related? I don't really know at this point. When I first learned about it, the first week or so, you know, I was just really processing it. I don't think I really fully accepted it. And it took about probably at least a week for me to really just accept what's going on. Is my own personal history different here? I don't know. How do you tell something like that? How do you tell, you know, what about friends I grew up with? Did they even exist? Are they still here? Or is their life story different? This is just such a bizarre, crazy thing, man, that I don't really know what to do. This is just a really crazy, bizarre thing. And I'm not sure what it is or how to deal with it or how we should feel about it. But at this point, I've accepted it, but I'll tell you this has changed my life drastically.
What I did, I started thinking about it, and then start looking it up, and I was like, okay, hold on. Now maybe I'm going crazy too, because then they was talking about Mandela was dead now, then they saying he just died, and it just gets too deep. They've been messing with time, they've been messing with it, doing some stuff, trying to keep us trapped here in this box. But so the Mandela Effect is something like that. Your heart's always been right in the middle of your chest. So if you're watching the old movies, when they shooting somebody in the heart, they're always shooting them over here to the left, but they've been missing that heart all this time. And now the kill shot is actually in the middle of your chest. We're going to get back to that in a minute. But and then they're saying Oscar Mayer. So Oscar Mayer, the hot dogs, Oscar Mayer. That is spelled OSCARMEYER, Oscar Mayer. Well, Oscar Mayer has never been Oscar Mayer. Oscar Mayer, all this time, has actually really been Oscar Mayer. Yes, that's right, folks. And if you, it's a lot of stuff that you got memories of that they done went back and changed, but they can't change it all the way like that. But I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm going crazy. I checked up on that, and I was like, let me check up on that. And I watched that, and I was like, yeah, hold on now, what's going on? Because the people that was doing the videos, they was crazy. I ain't gonna lie, they was spooking me out. I'm like, man, this is getting a little too weird for me. Because I don't really believe in conspiracy theories, because a conspiracy is something that they're doing behind you. And if anybody already knows, they're not doing it. They're doing it out in front. They're telling you about it. They're telling you what they're doing. They're letting you know, That's why I don't believe in conspiracy. It ain't no conspiracy. It's out front and open. You know what they're doing when you know what time it is on this planet. Now, they're saying that your heart's always been in the middle of your chest. Now, me personally, I was about 19 years old. I was running pretty hard. I was out there. I was in them streets hard. So I got into a fight with a guy. He came back. He pulled an assault rifle on me, and he pulled it on me, trying to punk me or whatever. I had been drinking, so I was turned up. He pulled the gun on me, and I grabbed it. He was in the car, and I grabbed it. We was wrestling over it, and he busted. He got one shot off on me. So when you're talking about assault rifle, it left a big old hole out my back, and I died a couple times on the table. We ain't supposed to be here. They told me I was going to be paralyzed. I wasn't going to walk again. That was 20 years ago, going on 21 years ago. And my heart was, they're saying that your heart's in the middle of your chest, and it's always been in the middle of your chest. All right, well, you see that right there? I don't know if y'all can see that. That's the entry wound. An assault rifle, an SKS, Mini 14, whatever it was. That's the entry wound that makes. And it makes a big old hole in the back. I ain't going to do all that, turn around and show you all that. But on the way out, it makes a big old hole. But anyway, you see where that came in at? That came in right there. And the doctors told me, Dr. Fogel, the surgeon, I died a couple times on the table, but he told me the first thing when I came out of my coma, the first thing he told me was, Oh, you're a lucky man. That bullet just barely missed your heart.
First of all, I think a lot of skeptics or a lot of people who just don't really understand the Mandela Effect, they may be under the impression that this is how it happens. They may think, one day you're going about your life, going about your business, and you see a change. Maybe you see a Ford logo that just didn't look familiar to you. And so you say, wow, that Ford logo sure is different. I must be in a whole new dimension. That's not how it works. It's usually, for a lot of us, a lot longer of an experience. For a lot of us, it's a lot more complicated than just, whoa, I'm on a whole new planet. So I want to maybe clear up some of those misconceptions, but that's really kind of a minor thing. The most important reason I want to share my own personal experience with you is I have a feeling we're going to be seeing a lot more people coming to terms with the Mandela Effect.
But no, it's always been that way. And people even contacted her and said, why did you do this? You're part of some kind of a PSYOP, psychological operation. But no, she said, no, I've never had braces. Now, that was the tip of the iceberg. I didn't know what I was getting into, or I might not have even looked further. But there are many other things, like the polar ice cap. Now, Santa Claus, when we're little, we're told Santa Claus comes, which I'm starting to look like him, but Santa Claus comes from the North Pole. And then Al Gore going on and on about melting the North Pole ice cap. Where would the polar bears live? Where would the polar bears live, right? So, much to my shock, really, and this is pretty scary, I looked at Google Earth first. There is no North Pole. There's just a latitude that says North Pole, and there's a few chunks of ice, but it's the Arctic Ocean. Now I thought, well, it can't have melted because it would have flooded the world. Florida would be underwater, and some of my favorite beaches over that way. So I thought about it. I went back and I studied a little bit further. I talked to a school teacher. She has a collection of globes from the 50s. Older lady. None of them show North Pole. None of them show an ice cap at the North Pole. And I'm very certain that they used to. This is what really starts to get me. These effects are unbelievable. And it's like, how could that be? So I turned to the good book. I turned to the Bible. And I started reading about different things that have changed. That's very scary stuff. So I think you'll agree that that warrants an investigation. And that's not just new Bibles. You go back to a Bible that was written 400 years ago and it'll say the same thing. It might be worded slightly differently or something because of the age, but it is the same meaning, the same message. And that's what, even from the Latin and the Greek, these are scary things. And so now I am a believer. I think, wait a minute, if they can somehow change the Bible and change positions of the continents, and I don't want to get into all the changes because when you do that, when you're first introducing people to something, you come off like you're a little bit, out there or something maybe. But when you're discussing something that's very unbelievable, I find that it's best just to tell people a few basic things. And then if you pique their curiosity, they will look it up themselves. And they will do their own study. Then you'll be like me, making a video. But, I think that it's very important when they start making all these changes. One of the other things that made me really shake myself loose and say, wait a minute, it's not just me. Stephen Hawking, who I don't really care for, but he's very smart. He said, if you guys keep, I'm paraphrasing again, if you guys keep messing around with this, CERN particle collider, because that's what they're doing, they're tapping into other dimensions, you're going to wind up with dinosaurs walking across the lawn one day. Well, this is something very important. If he thinks that way, then maybe I should look into it even more, because he's a lot smarter than I am. I think that's very important. And the geography, I've been studying quantum physics now for many years, and I don't claim to be any expert. There aren't any experts in quantum physics. But we know that CERN is tapping into other universes, other timelines. And that's what we are calling other universes, because there are parallel timelines under God's creation. And everything has turned out slightly different in each timeline. Animals are slightly different. People are slightly different. And I suppose in some of them, because they're endless. Things would be very different, and to the point where we don't exist in many of them. But what has happened, there must have been some chaos. I think, this is my theory, 2012, the Mayan calendar told us of a huge apocalypse. I think it happened. We just didn't realize. And we are somehow shifted into a different reality, as strange as that seems. That's the only explanation I have that makes any sense. But going along with that, in quantum physics, particles can be in superposition. They can be everywhere at the same time. And I mean, a single particle can be everywhere at once in the universe. That's really something to think about. It can be in more than one place at a time, but it can be superpositioned or in several places, and it can pop in and out of this reality or existence as we know it. So if that can happen with subatomic particles, and it happens with atoms, it happens with light, then who's to say that reality is not malleable?